Because they are confident in their ability to answer inquiries honestly, Sigma Empaths are never hesitant to do so. In fact, as they also desire to maintain in-depth meaningful interactions, Sigma Empaths like questioning from other individuals. But occasionally, individuals would ask them questions only to startle them, which is quite impolite. Here are the methods that Sigma and dogs punish anybody who challenges them in order to handle these individuals. 10. Sigma Empaths encourage listening rather than hearing. When it comes to individuals listening versus hearing, there is a significant distinction. When individuals merely pay attention to what someone is saying, they are only acting passively and not actively seeking out the context. They could draw erroneous inferences or have unfavorable judgments since they don't completely grasp what the other person is trying to say. However, when Sigma Empaths teach others to listen, they are enabling the learner to comprehend what they are attempting to say on a deeper level. Here, the listener may understand the true meaning of what Sigma Empaths are trying to convey. Since no stern words or difficult feelings are used, this kind of correction is more friendly. Sigma Empaths urge others to understand the value of listening and understanding in order to refrain from uncomfortable questioning of others. 9. When someone challenges a Sigma Empath, the empaths advise them to reflect carefully. This indicates that the individual has reservations regarding the skills of Sigma Empaths. Before passing judgment on someone, they advise these individuals to think critically and to be more open to broadening their perspectives. Sigma Empaths want others to understand that while asking someone a question is appropriate, doing so when the question is impolite is no longer acceptable. According to them, unfair judgments are made because individuals are unaware of what they are doing. Instead of asking terrible questions, it would be preferable if these folks learned how to properly approach someone. Sigma Empaths are aware that a person's attitude or background will be reflected in how they approach them. Do you suppose a mind that can't think profoundly must be weak? It does, really. So, be more responsible, take a moment to reflect, and think carefully if you don't want to be viewed as weak. 8. Sigma Empaths give others the chance to pause and consider their remarks. Segment pets don't punish harshly because they don't want to become a constant source of intimidation for others. They punish individuals by allowing them to consider the words they have spoken in the past in order to protect their reputation. Sigma Empaths think that individuals become aware of their behaviors, thoughts, and emotions when they pause to consider what they just said or requested. In this way, such individuals will eventually come to regret their actions. Sigma Empaths will approach them and have a personal conversation with them to help them realize that it is inappropriate to doubt or cast doubt on anybody. Have you ever tried to halt a conversation and ask the other person to consider what they just said? This enables others to accurately interpret their words and intentions. 7. Sigma Empaths humiliate the one who questions them. Sigma Empaths will be a little bit more stern with discipline if the individual has been constantly challenging them to the point where respect is no longer present. Unfortunately, they will slightly embarrass the one who is challenging them. In this way, the person asking them will experience the same uneasy sensation that they did when they were first tossed. Giving them a taste of their own medicine in this way allows them to ponder and realize that it is in fact improper to ask open-ended inquiries that can leave someone feeling surprised. For instance, if someone is constantly asking you personal questions, you might respond by inquiring about their opinion on it. They will get embarrassed by this and will stop asking inquiries. 6. Sigma Empaths avoid answering the query. Occasionally, those who are curious about Sigma Empaths become too bothersome. Sigma Empaths find it incredibly intrusive when they are asked questions that are too intimate to respond, especially since they are so protective of their privacy. When someone asks a question that is beyond of their comfort zone, Sigma Empaths will avoid answering it to correct them. Dodging inquiries is a common practice, and the reason for it may not be relevant to the other person. People need to realize that they should use caution when approaching strangers with queries. If the individual would be aware of the importance of their queries the following time, it would mean a lot to Sigma Empaths. Would you likewise avoid a question that goes above the allotment if you were a Sigma Empath? 5. Sigma Empaths include values into everything they say. Not all forms of discipline include causing harm or hurling unpleasant objects. Sigma Empaths are aware that communicating with someone while including values can be a good approach to discipline them. Yes, kids are aware that strangers will constantly have questions for them. But there may be a method to get these individuals to realize that what they are doing makes them uncomfortable so that they might compromise rather than hurting one another. Fortunately, Sigma Empaths are very delicate speakers, which helps those listening understand what they are trying to say. Both sides can respect one another in this way by refraining from asking inappropriate or irrelevant questions. 4. Comparing and assessing circumstances is made possible by Sigma Empaths. Sigma Empaths will present them with scenarios in which they may compare things, think about them, and assess circumstances if others are unable to grasp what they are trying to say. Giving someone real-world examples will help them distinguish between acceptable and unacceptable behavior. Sigma Empaths want individuals to improve their higher-order thinking abilities and become more self-aware in every scenario so they can stop doing foolish things like repeatedly questioning others. Have you noticed that it is much simpler for someone to comprehend that there is a problem when you allow them to examine a specific circumstance that has the identical issue that you do? Once they acknowledge their errors, they will learn to accept responsibility for them and make the necessary corrections. 3. Sigma Empaths want others to compete with them. A Sigma Empath never boasts about how knowledgeable and insightful they are personally. However, after they've had enough of that individual, they'll strive to compete against them. Sigma Empaths will test them, observe how they respond, and devise strategies for defeating them. Here, the Sigma Empaths are able to identify the person's shortcomings so they may correct them. Sigma Empaths will allow the individual to experience defeat so they can explain why it is never a smart idea to mess with them. Additionally, they will establish in that person's head the idea that questioning and casting doubt on someone's talents is never a smart idea because not everyone will put up with their insulting remarks. And it's true that Sigma Empaths never let opponents win, especially if they want to disprove them. 2. Sigma Empaths disregard the subject of how to correct someone in a respectful and calm manner. Sigma Empaths will not pay attention to the inquiries made by those skeptics. This is how they make the person feel as though their query is pointless and deserving of no response. Here, they give the person a chance to examine the issue and realize that something is already wrong, and that they need accept responsibility for their errors. Because Sigma Empaths are aware that everyone has boundaries, and the freedom to deny answering inquiries that infringe on their privacy, declining to answer queries is not considered disrespectful. Giving a silent no is one approach to discipline someone. Discipline may take many different forms. 1. Sigma Empaths will put them on guard. Some people are excessively persistent when they inquire for the nth time. Sigma Empaths will turn the tables and put that person on the defensive since they feel this to be too rude. By doing this, it will divert the inquirer, who will then be made aware that Sigma Empaths cannot be intimidated. Here, students will comprehend that they must likewise be careful with their words and deeds if they don't want to be regarded disrespectfully. Sigma Empaths will ultimately counsel them rather than provide a solution. Have you ever noticed that people tend to ramble on when confronted with the same insulting question? This is as a result of their beginning to understand something. If someone asks you a nosy question, you're under no obligation to give them the response they're looking for. Sigma Empaths are aware that they have no need to explain or entertain anybody. They would rather maintain their position and allow those individuals understand proper communication techniques. Would you take the time to correct those who are challenging you if you were them?